The Queen of Ood, earthly power, attachment to authority, and the inevitable fall of illusions. The testimony of the spirit known as the Queen of Ood, presented in the second part of Heaven and Hell, offers a profound reflection on the attachment to power, political authority, and identity built upon social position, revealing how these structures, although influential in earthly life, do not sustain consciousness after passing. The Queen of Ood manifests with intellectual lucidity, preserved memory, and a strong sense of identity linked to the role she played in life. Her suffering does not arise from ignorance about her spiritual condition, but from the difficulty in abandoning the idea of superiority and command. Even after death, she still perceives herself as a queen, maintaining expectations of deference, recognition, and obedience that no longer find resonance in the spiritual world. Modern depth psychology helps to understand this state. When personal identity is built almost exclusively around positions, power, or status, a fusion occurs between the self and the function performed. The loss of that function generates a deep identity crisis. On the spiritual plane, where titles and social hierarchies do not exist, this crisis manifests as moral suffering, frustration, and a sense of downfall. Spiritism clarifies that the suffering of the Queen of Ood does not stem from having ruled, but from the attachment to authority as an absolute value, disconnected from the service to the common good. Power, when lived as an affirmation of the ego, creates illusions that need to be undone for consciousness to advance. In the spiritual world, all spirits are evaluated not by the position they held, but by how they used their responsibilities. Modern science reinforces this reading by demonstrating that relationships based on domination tend to generate psychological rigidity. Individuals accustomed to commanding and being obeyed often develop difficulty adapting to egalitarian contexts. On the spiritual level, this difficulty intensifies, as empathy and moral equality are natural laws of the environment. Another striking point of this testimony is the shock of spiritual equality. The Queen discovers that, outside of matter, there are no inherited privileges or automatic authority. This realization is painful for a consciousness that confused personal value with social position. Suffering emerges as an educational instrument, inviting a deep revision of the concept of greatness. Spiritism teaches that this state is not definitive, as the Queen of Ood begins to understand that true authority is moral and that true power is expressed through example, justice, and humility. The path to inner transformation opens up. Suffering persists only as long as consciousness clings to the old identity. This account brings a current and universal teaching. At any level, political, professional, family, or social, power that does not convert into service becomes an obstacle to the growth of consciousness. Spiritual life reveals clearly what material life often masks. No one is greater for commanding, but for serving. The Queen of Ood teaches us that true greatness is not on the throne, but in character. What elevates consciousness is not the authority exercised, but the intention with which it was used. External power passes, moral value remains. Reflecting on this testimony is an invitation to humility in the present. Assessing how we use our influence, leadership, or position now is an essential exercise in spiritual maturity. Awareness grows when it learns to step down from the pedestal of ego to walk alongside others. If this account helped you reflect on power, identity, and moral responsibility, like, share, and leave your comment. Your participation helps this message reach more people.